There's no doubt that Turkey has altered the dynamics in Libya by deciding to go in to save Serraj, who has his back to the wall. The government in Tripoli has its back to the wall in front of Haftar, who is supported by the UAE, by Egypt, by Saudi Arabia, by Russia, by France, by an apathetic US and an EU that is just watching the scenes unfold. However, after Turkey sends troops, after Serraj is saved, after Haftar is kicked out of Tripoli, there will be negotiations. But the problem is that the EU will not easily forgive Serraj for calling in the Turks, because he will refuse the EU request to rescind the request for Turkish troops. He will refuse EU pressure to push the Turks out after they've come in. So what we will see is the EU will react. The EU will try to empower other militias, not Haftar, but for example Misrata, Zintan. They will try to empower other parties in the hope that they will be able to reform the government in Tripoli and hopefully bring somebody to power who will take a tougher stance towards Turkey, or indeed rescind some of these agreements that it sees as provocative that have been signed between Serraj and Turkey. We will also see that there will be a rivalry in terms of who hosts those negotiations. Turkey and Russia will want to monopolize those negotiations. Russia is trying to get the Libyan parties to view it as a power broker and is trying to implement the Syria model, whereby all the parties meet in Astana instead of Geneva. It's trying to replicate that model in Libya. EU has got a lot of ground to make up, given that it abandoned Libya, it abandoned Serraj, it abandoned the Tripoli government, and given that Haftar is not backed by the EU, but he's backed by the UAE and he's backed by Saudi Arabia and Egypt, the EU is scrambling for allies. It is the EU now that will try to be the center of negotiations, but it knows that at this moment in time, the Libyans do not necessarily prefer them over the Russians and the Turks. So in terms of where we're going in Libya, these are the likely scenarios that we're going to see.